ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे शेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, you are doing 17.3. Okay, I can't remember. सत्त्वानुरूपा सर्वस्य श्रद्धा भवति भारत श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो यो यच्छ्रद्धः स एव सः. O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So all these various modes, various qualities now will be explained under different modes. And like I said yesterday, our goal is to actually come to Sattva Guna. So we have to note all these different qualities and see if we are stuck in Rajoguna or Tamoguna, we have to come to Sattva Guna, because Rajoguna and Tamoguna is asuric. It's not for devotees. Everyone has a particular type of faith, regardless of what he is. But his faith is considered good, passionate, or ignorant according to the nature he has acquired. Thus, according to his particular type of faith, one associates with certain persons. This is also very important. Who are the kind of people whom we like to associate? It will be in line with our nature. So we will have faith in those people. So somebody in the mode of ignorance will like to associate with people who are in ignorance. They will avoid the higher modes because it will repel them. They will not be comfortable and they'll feel like, oh no, this person is going to take me away from my lower mode. And lower mode means that person doesn't know that it's a lower mode, but a person is attracted to ignorance. And if he goes to, and ignorance means laziness. Now, if he starts associating with a person in passion, he's going to make him do work, get active, get into action, which he will not like. So he will avoid. And of course, somebody in mode of ignorance will not want to associate with people in goodness because it's just far, far, far. They think it's crazy and to be living like this. So we'll associate with people accordingly, according to our faith. Now, the real fact is that every living being, as is stated in the 15th chapter, is originally a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. This we all know. Therefore, one is originally transcendental to all the modes of material nature. So, originally we are transcendental because we are Atma, and Atma is not affected by the modes. Originally, meaning because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is not affected by modes, so the Atma also is not supposed to be affected by modes. But when one forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and comes into contact with material nature in conditioned life, he generates his own position by association with different varieties of material nature. So let me explain this. So first thing, important thing is that we forget relationship with Krishna. When we forget our relationship with Krishna, that's when we want to fall. And then what environment is given for us to forget Krishna? Is this material nature? Is this material world? So conditional life means that we are forced to come under different conditions. These conditions are this Satoguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. Right? So we will come in contact with this nature, with this material nature, and we enter conditional life. When we generate our own position, our own situation, our own whatever, right? Likes, dislikes, etc. Everything is with association with the different varieties of material nature. So based on what type of what mode attracts us, then we will associate more with that mode. More with that mode means more with that way of thinking, more with that way of people, more with that way of doing things, etc., etc. And we generate our own position by all these thoughts, actions, kaya, vacha, manasa. We will generate our own position in connection with that mode. So, like I said, somebody might be in sattva guna, but for some reason he starts associating with somebody in tamoguna, then he will like all the activities that that person does, the way he speaks, all that kind of things, right? And then he will generate his own position. What is that position now? He fell from sattva to tamoguna. Hmm? The resultant artificial faith and existence are only material. This is artificial faith because real faith has been covered now. Real faith is to be servants of Krishna and serve him. This is artificial faith because this can be changed. And also the existence is also artificial. And they're all material. Although one may be conducted by some impression or some conception of life. Originally he is nirguna or transcendental. So temporarily we are conducted by some thought process about life or about some conception of life that, I want this, I like this, I don't like this. I'm this kind of a person. This thing appeals to me, that thing doesn't appeal to me. All this is just some temporary impression. We should not take it too seriously. We should not think that this is me. This is not me. This is just some ignorance which has covered me. And when that ignorance is removed, then only I will know what I really am. Which is a servant of Krishna. Therefore, one has to become cleansed of the material contamination that he has acquired in order to regain his relationship with the Lord. Because here Prabhupada said, first we forget the Lord, then we acquire this or temporary position. So Prabhupada is now saying, I am a temporary position, material contamination. So Prabhupada is saying, if you have to regain relationship, then you have to become cleansed of this material contamination. So this material contamination means contamination of mode of goodness, contamination of mode of passion, contamination of mode of ignorance. One has to become cleansed. That's why Krishna in the second chapter only told Arjuna, Traigunya Vishaveda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. He said Nistraigunya, meaning raise above these modes, because these modes are contaminating. Contaminating means what? They will just take us away from Krishna. That's all. And each mode has its own way of taking us away from Krishna. And that is contamination. This is the only path back without fear. Krishna consciousness. So one engaged in Krishna consciousness does not need to fear anything, any situation, any person, anything in life. If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then that path is guaranteed for his elevation to the perfectional stage. If one does not take to this path of self-realization, then he is surely to be conducted by the influence of modes of nature. So if we do not take up this process of Krishna consciousness, then we are surely going to be conducted by influence of modes of nature. So for example, if Shastra says, for example, don't eat outside food. Now, if we end up eating outside food, then we will get contaminated by modes of passion and ignorance. It's a very natural thing. But at the same time, if you want protection from the modes, and modes result in kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So they're not good for us. We should simply understand they're troubling. Devotee gets angry and then he or she feels, oh, it's so bad. I shouldn't have got angry. Right? Sometimes we don't have that realization also, which is even worse. And all this is just the ignorance created by the modes. So one has to be self-aware, aware of what he is thinking, what he is doing, how he is acting, what is the impact it is having on others. Is this right? Is this wrong? This is self-awareness. We should be aware of ourselves. If you are not aware of ourselves, that means that it is more of ignorance. Lack of awareness means ignorance, which is more of ignorance. And then solution is that we have to associate with those devotees who can see our real position and they guide us. The word Shraddha or faith is very significant in this verse. Shraddha or faith originally comes out of the mode of goodness. See, originally, faith comes out of the mode of goodness. One's faith may be in a demigod or some created god or some mental concoction. One strong faith is supposed to be productive of works of material goodness. Productive of works, meaning it is produced of works of material goodness. It's supposed to be productive of. Okay, but in material condition life, no works are completely purified. They're mixed. So though faith has to be in goodness, but then it becomes mixed. So that is not pure goodness. Pure goodness is transcendental. In purified goodness, one can understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada here is explaining what is this Shuddha Sattva, Nishtara Gunya. When we rise above the modes, then we can understand the real nature of Krishna. That is pure goodness, that is transcendental. But because we are in material world, we can't, goodness can also be, there's nothing like pure because it's always mixed. As long as one's faith is not completely in purified goodness, the faith is subjected to contamination by any of the modes of nature. So Prabhupada is saying originally faith is mode of goodness, but because we are in the material mode, that faith is affected by modes of passion and ignorance. So it's not pure. The contaminated modes expand to the heart, meaning they affect the heart. Therefore, according to the position of the heart in contact with a particular mode of material nature, one's faith is established. Heart means actually, we can just think of it like feeling of mind, what we are feeling, right? So we get established in a particular faith. Should be understood that if one's heart is in the mode of goodness, his faith is mode of goodness. In passion, mode of passion. If the heart is in mode of darkness, illusion, his faith is also thus contaminated. Thus, we find different types of faith in this world, and there are different types of religions due to different types of faith. So Prabhupada is saying now all these different religions in the world are all under different faith modes. The real principle of religious faith is situated in the mode of pure goodness, which is bhakti. That is the real principle of religious faith. That is situated above the three modes. But because the heart is tainted, we find different types of religious principles. Religious principles meaning all these different principles that other religions follow, etc. They are in other modes, right? Thus, according to different types of faith, there are different kinds of worship. Okay, 17.4. यजन्ते सात्विका देवान् यक्षरक्षांसि राजसाः प्रेतान् भूतगणांश्चान्ये यजन्ते तामसा जनाः. Men in the mode of goodness worship demigods, those in the mode of passion worship demons, those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. In this word, Supreme Person of Godhead describes different kinds of worshippers according to their external activities. According to scriptural injunction, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable. But those who are not conversant, not very conversant with or faithful to scriptural injunctions, worship different objects according to their specific situations in the modes of material nature. So, though everybody is advised to actually accept worship of only the Supreme Lord, because everybody is affected by different modes, they end up worshipping either demigods, demons, ghost spirits. Those who are situated in goodness generally worship God, demigods. Demigods include Brahma, Shiva, and others such as Indra, Chandra, and the sun god. There are various demigods. Those in goodness worship a particular demigod for a particular purpose. Similarly, those who are in the mode of passion worship demons. We recall that during the Second World War, a man in Calcutta worshipped Hitler because thanks to that war, he had amassed a large amount of wealth by dealing in the black market. Similarly, those in the mode of passion and ignorance generally select a powerful man to be God. They think that anyone can be worshipped as God and that the same results will be obtained. So basically, three modes, they worship three different types of entities. Now it is clearly described here that those who are in the mode of passion worship and create such gods, and those who are in the mode of ignorance in darkness worship dead spirits. Sometimes people worship at the tomb of some dead man. Sexual service is also considered to be in the mode of darkness. Similarly, in remote villages in India, there are worshippers of ghosts. We've seen that in India, the lower class people sometimes go to the forest, and if they have knowledge that a ghost lives in a tree, they worship the tree and offer sacrifices. These different kinds of worship are not actually God worship. God worship is for persons who are transcendently situated in pure goodness. Hmm. God worship. So for Prabhupada, in his language, God means Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. When a man is situated in pure goodness, he worships Vasudeva. The purport is that those who are completely purified of the material modes of nature and who are transcendently situated can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Completely purified of modes and who are transcendently situated can worship, which means that such people worship only the Supreme Lord. So there might be people who come to the Supreme Lord because they are driven by their modes. They are very fortunate because even though they are being driven by their modes, they come to Krishna. But if they follow the process properly, then soon they will come out of the modes. But the less fortunate ones, driven by the modes, get into all these other kinds of worship. But those who are completely purified of the modes will be fixed in worshipping only Krishna. Right? Or they are on the path of purification, may not be completely purified. Or those who are completely purified will worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with love. The impersonalists are supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness, and they worship five kinds of demigods. They worship impersonal Vishnu form in the material world. For them, everything is impersonal, which is known as philosophized Vishnu. Philosophized Vishnu means they have applied some philosophy and made Vishnu form impersonal. Vishnu is the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the impersonal is because they do not ultimately believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Imagine that Vishnu's form is just another aspect of impersonal Brahman. So this is that philosophized Vishnu. Similarly, they imagine that Lord Brahma is the impersonal form in the material mode of passion. Thus, they sometimes describe five kinds of gods that are worshipable. But because they think that the actual truth is impersonal Brahman, they dispose of all worshipable objects at the ultimate end. So according to them, all these various worshipable objects are only temporary. Temporary till they achieve perfection. So these are just means to achieve perfection. So when they achieve perfection or at the end, they'll give up everything. They'll give up all these forms because according to them, it's all illusory. It's just temporary forms. But the actual truth is impersonal. No form. In conclusion, the different qualities of material modes of nature can be purified through association with persons who are of transcendental nature. So Prabhupada is saying, see, even impersonalists are affected. Everybody is affected. Now, who can get purified? How can one get purified? Through association with persons who are of transcendental nature. So we have to associate with right kind of devotees. Then our contamination will be eliminated. And we should never think that we are stuck in these modes. Many devotees have this feeling of helplessness. Oh, what do we do? I'm stuck in this. No question of being stuck for a devotee. Devotee is not stuck. Devotee wants to be stuck. That is the problem. Because the process of bhakti is so powerful that nobody can simply be stuck in material life if they're chanting Hare Krishna. But because we want to be stuck, we are stuck. So we should understand this. And that wanting to be stuck is eliminated by association with persons who are of transcendental nature. So when we associate with persons who are transcendental nature, then we will, because of their purity, it will have an impact on us, and then we will slowly, steadily want to stop getting. I mean, we will give ourselves, we will give up holding on to that material mode. Like a saying, somebody is holding on to a pillar and shouting, "Pillar, leave me! Pillar, leave me!" Who is holding? He is holding the pillar. Pillar is not holding him. So we are holding to this mode, and when we come in association with devotees with transcendental nature, we will give up our holding on to this nature, holding on to these modes. अशास्त्रविहितं घोरं तप्यन्ते ये तपोजनाः दम्बाहङ्कारसंयुक्ताः कामरागबलान्विताः कर्षयन्तः शरीरस्थं भूतग्रामम् अचेतसः मां चैवान्तः शरीरस्थं तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Many people are, very attracted to do some severe austerities and penances. So Krishna is saying here, those severe austerities and penances which are not recommended in the scriptures, it is demoniac. Hiranyakashipu did that. Ravana did that. All of them did that. All the asuras did these severe austerities and penances, but they are not recommended in the scriptures. They were performing them out of pride and ignorance. They were impelled by lust and attachment. They were foolish, and they tortured the material elements of the body. Hiranyakashipu tortured material elements in the body to such an extent that he was able to just survive with just bones. He just destroyed his body, gross body. So there are persons who manufacture modes of austerity and penance which are not mentioned in the scriptural injunctions. For instance, fasting for some ulterior purpose, such as to promote a purely political end, is not mentioned in the scriptural directions. Now we know who Prabhupada is talking about here. The scriptures recommended fasting for spiritual advancement, not for some political end or social purpose. Bhuk Hartal. Persons who take to such austerities are according to Bhagavad Gita. Was saying, I am not saying. According to Krishna, they are certainly demoniac. Their acts are against the scriptural injunctions, are not beneficial to the people in general. So Prabhupada is saying they are not beneficial. All these kind of, austerities and penances which are not recommended in the Shastra, they're not actually good for people. They're not beneficial for people. Actually, they act out of pride, false ego, lust, and attachment. It's just materially motivated. So Prabhupada is saying, yeah, affected by pride, so they want to show off, see my power, and do this austerity, and then I will achieve this. False ego, because they'll all be on the material, on the bodily platform. Lust, because they want to achieve something, attachment. By such activities, not only is the combination of material elements of which the body is constructed disturbed, but also the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself living within the body. Um, Such unauthorized fasting or austerities for some political end are certainly very disturbing to others. They're not mentioned in the Vedic literature. See, one thing to mention about austerities and penances, it's always good to do austerities and penances because Krishna already said, Yagna Dana Tapa. Tapa means austerity. So it's always good because it purifies even the liberated souls. Or, everybody has to do it. So then why is saying that, this, there are so much of austerities which disturbs even all the material elements and even the Supreme Lord himself. It's not authorized. Those that are authorized have to be done. Those that are not authorized should not be done. Authorized tapascharya, which might even affect the material elements, is approved by the Lord. So it doesn't disturb the Supreme Lord. It doesn't disturb Paramatma. Right? But of course, see, we have to also see practical reality. For example, doing Ekadashi vows. Right now, if our body is not in a state to take it, then we don't do it. It's a very simple thing. We should give our body austerity. See, please understand what is austerity. Austerity means I can lift 5 kgs of rice comfortably. If I lift 5.5 kgs, that is an austerity. If I try to lift 10 kgs when I'm just used to lifting 5 kgs, it is craziness. Right? So if we are lifting 5 kgs, then we should first try, okay, can I lift 5.5 kgs or 6 kgs? Oh, okay, I'm comfortable. Fine. Can I now try, can I go up to 6.5 kgs? Yeah, once we are completely, like 6 kgs was not effort at all. It was as good as lifting 5 kgs. Then we can say, yeah, now I think my new norm is 6 kgs. I'm very able to very easily lift 6 kgs. So let me now try to push it a little further. This is how austerities have to be done. Right? Not all of a sudden. Because then it'll break. It'll hurt the material elements. It's not required. And one day we do, and then we are out of action for a few days. And this is not required. A demoniac person may think that he can force his enemy or other parties to comply with his desires by this method. That means I will do some austerity and I will make others comply with my desire. They should agree to what I want. But sometimes one dies by such fasting. These acts are not approved by the Supreme Person of Godhead, and he says that those who engage in them are demons. Such demonstrations are insults to the Supreme Person of Godhead because they are acted in disobedience to the Vedic scriptural injunctions. So Prabhupada is saying anything which is done against the Vedas is an insult to the Supreme Lord. The word acheta saha is significant in this connection. Persons of normal mental condition must obey the scriptural injunction. Those who are not in such a position neglect and disobey the scriptures and manufacture their own way of austerities and penances. One should always remember the ultimate end of the demoniac people, as described in the previous chapter. Lord forces them to take birth in the wombs of demoniac persons. Consequently, they will live by demoniac principles, life after life, without knowing their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then it's only the mercy of devotees that they can be saved, rescued. Right? If, however, such persons are fortunate enough to be guided by spiritual master who can direct them to the path of Vedic wisdom, they can get out of this entanglement and ultimately achieve the supreme goal. So the important thing is coming in touch with devotees, subsequently getting initiated, being guided by a spiritual master, and then one can achieve the supreme goal. So this is faith. Yeah, this is done by people who are demoniac. Austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures. Okay, I think pretty straightforward. So let's stop here if somebody has anything to ask. Nothing. Okay, let's stop here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnava.